DKC. 3 letters that have changed the world. I'm of course talking about Donkey Kong Country, a 2D platforming series known for their unique and challenging levels, and for a banger soundtrack. Except, they're not so challenging for speedrunners, and what takes the average player 4 hours to beat the original Donkey Kong Country only takes speedrunners 7 minutes, as they're able to utilize a number of skips, glitches, and game-breaking techniques. I mean, just look at this. The DKC Any% speedrun, which is the run discussed in this video, was a very hot category in 2024 due to the discovery of new time-saving strategies, with multiple world record times being accomplished within 24 hours. And the competition is so tight that world record times are broken out into milliseconds, with the current world record as of this video being held by speedrunner Lovebird920, with a time of 7 minutes, 26 seconds, and 867 milliseconds, the only sub 27 second time. In this video, I'm going to explain how speedrunners beat the game in such fast times. But first, I want to say that if you too are tired of Nintendo re-releasing the same DKC games instead of giving us a new game, then you should like this video. Now, let's get back those bananas. Right away, the speedrun starts with a glitch, known as the Funky Barrel Start, which allows speedrunners to start the game in a funky barrel on the world map. Pressing start and down on the cranky screen within 30 frames activates this glitch, and it roughly saves 1.2 seconds on the run, as the funky barrel is faster on the overworld compared to DK, in addition to there being reduced load times due to the music not changing. This glitch is exclusive to version 1.0. There are a few other time-saving glitches exclusive to version 1.0, and specifically the U or English version, which is why all the top speedrunners play this version. Speedrunners head to Jungle Hijinks as normal, the first level in the game, and one thing you'll notice is how they constantly roll their way through the level, and that's because rolling is the fastest way to get through the levels compared to running and jumping. Not only that, but rolling through enemies will extend the duration of the roll, and when rolling through a series of enemies, known as chain rolls, you can accelerate up to a set max speed, 4 enemies being the max for Diddy, and 5 being the max for DK. This strategy allows speedrunners to get through levels at record times, and even cross much wider gaps than usual with extended rolls. This makes knowing the placement of enemies in the levels very important for this speedrun. It's actually a lot more technical than that, so much that there's an 8-minute YouTube tutorial video by speedrunner SilentWolf444 on the rolling mechanics of DKC, but that's pretty much the basics. There is another interesting thing that speedrunners do in the first level though. They grab the DK barrel here, which holds Diddy, but instead of throwing the barrel to release him, speedrunners jump on Naughty's back just up ahead. Doing this releases the barrel on the platform above, causing it to roll, and then pick it up and put it back down. This is done to set up what is called the split up glitch, which I'll explain a bit later when it comes in handy. This setup strategy was only recently discovered in February of 2024, which prompted many runners to pick up the category again, and saves 1 second on the run. 1 second might seem insignificant, but it adds up. And again, this is a speedrun category with times broken into milliseconds, so any time save is crucial if striving for the world record time. This new setup is also more consistent because it isn't frame perfect like the old setup, which involved re-entering the first level, grabbing and throwing the first DK barrel, but then exiting the level by pressing start and select with the barrel mid-air. What both these strategies do is confuse the game as to which Kong is active. In the case of the old setup, when you throw a barrel, it tells the game that you have another Kong in backup. But if the barrel never breaks, you don't actually get that Kong. The next step of the split up glitch is killing yourself. But you can't kill yourself just anywhere. It has to be over a pit. Taking damage through any other means will cause a soft lock of the game, as the game will permanently pause, waiting forever for the other Kong to appear. Speedrunners determine that the fastest possible pit to kill themselves in is at the start of the next level, Ropey Rampage, where they jump off the ledge here and let the armadillo kill them as they fall below the death plane, putting them back on the map and thus activating the split up glitch. Again, we'll see why this glitch is important a bit later, but from here on out, while the split up glitch is active, speedrunners are in danger of soft locking, meaning taking any damage will stop a run in its tracks. After a level is beaten in DKC, there's a quick unskippable victory dance. But this victory dance can be ended 2 seconds earlier by pressing A, B, X, or Y during the dance, and this skip is known as the fanfare skip. This skip only works in new versions 1.0 and 1.1, giving speedrunners even more incentive to play version 1.0. And if that wasn't enough incentive, next speedrunners execute a glitch known as Map Warp, another glitch exclusive to version 1.0 and 1.1. While walking across the corners between the stages on the World 1 map, the game can be tricked into making you enter a stage by pressing any button on the same frame you reach the corner. When you reach a corner, the Kong stops in place for 1 frame. So if you are pressing a button when you reach it, the game thinks you're trying to enter a stage and puts you somewhere. These corners only exist in World 1, and they all send you to Orangutan Gang, the 5th level of World 3, with the exception of the second corner, which just sends you back to the second level. It's important to note that map warp only works with 1 Kong, as when you have 2 Kongs on the map, the Kong behind you is still moving, and so the warp won't work. By map warping, we're dropped into this area of Orangutan Gang, a level in World 3. Why this level? Speedrunners aren't sure, but the specific spot we're dropping into is a return barrel from one of the bonuses. The objective in this level is to further warp to Manic Mincers, the second level of the 6th world, specifically with Espresso, DK's ostrich buddy, using a glitch known as Wrong Warp. To Wrong Warp, speedrunners need to go backwards in the level to grab the steel keg and attach it to Espresso, something the game never intended to happen. For a while, the common strategy to pull this off involved picking up the steel keg here and then running with it to Espresso's crate, making sure to jump over the DK barrel as to not release Diddy. There's a reason for that, which you'll see soon. But at some point in my research for this video, I had reached out to the world record holder Lovebird920, and coincidentally, they had just completed a run that day with a faster time, and in that run, they used a new strategy that was only used in Taz, until a few speedrunners looked into it and found an RT8 viable way to do it. I'm not sure if there's a name for this yet, but I'm going to call it the keg roll. Here we see Lovebird920 throw the keg and catch up to it by doing a super precise throw and a series of precise rolling and jumping. Depending how well the strategy is executed, it can save between 1 and 1.2 seconds on the run. Lovebird920 told me this is probably the hardest strategy they have ever had to learn in DKC, and they've run every category. From here, speedrunners place the steel keg on the ground, free Espresso, and bring him down to where the steel keg is. They then get off Espresso, pick up the steel keg, and then jump on the tail of Claptrap, so that the steel keg ricochets off the ledge, so that speedrunners can land on the steel keg and ride it, and then press B while going past Espresso. When this happens, Espresso picks up the steel keg, and because the game never thought Espresso would be able to pick this up, the game thinks it's DK that's picked it up. So when you release the steel keg, you see this. The game just thinks DK is riding DK. At this point, speedrunners make their way forward in the level, making sure to break through the checkpoint barrel, where another interesting thing occurs. When they break through the checkpoint barrel, the steel keg turns into an invisible object, and this is known as the invisible sprite glitch. Speedrunners typically use invisible objects to manipulate memory IDs, which helps them wrong warp to other places. This is where things get very technical, but essentially, a memory ID is associated with every object in the game. This includes enemies, barrels, and even bonus exit destinations. And you must create an invisible object to manipulate these objects. For example, you can throw an enemy when you throw an invisible object. You can even throw fire, which Lovebird920 does here. But the only way to create an invisible object is by throwing a barrel, catching it again, and then crashing it into an airborne barrel, like the checkpoint barrel. From this point, speedrunners follow a very specific path to one of the level's bonus rooms, being careful to once again not hit the DK barrel and to not do any extra movement, as it could screw up the memory IDs. And just before the ledge that leads to the bonus room, speedrunners go neutral, which essentially means not pressing anything on the directional pad. This is purposeful, as it sets the correct memory IDs to warp to Manic Mincers. If you don't stop here, the memory IDs will get screwed up and you'll be warped somewhere else. If you're like me and wondering, how the hell do people figure this shit out? It's because the DKC community has a group of really smart people, known as Tazzers, that look into the stuff using an emulator and then document everything they find. I'm not going to even pretend I understand any of it. Once in the bonus room, speedrunners unearth and throw the DK barrel, so that they can perform a dual exit. And this is where the split up glitch shines. The split up glitch allows you to control both Kongs at the same time. And in order to wrong warp to Manic Mincers, both Kongs need to exit the bonus room on the same frame. Normally, when you exit a level or bonus area, the Kong you control would exit first, followed by the second Kong. But if only DK enters the exit here, you are stuck in the bonus room and the game soft locks. And if Diddy is late to exit, the game crashes. This is one of the few reasons why speedrunners avoid the DK barrel when going back to get Espresso and going towards the bonus room. Because if entering the bonus room with 2 Kongs, they wouldn't be able to get both Kongs to exit on the same frame. The DK barrel is also avoided as it could screw up the IDs for the wrong warp. And traversing to the bonus room would be impossible with trying to control 2 Kongs, as only one Kong would be on Espresso and the other would be on land. And the one on land would most likely die. And if one Kong dies, the game makes you exit the level. If everything has been done correctly, speedrunners wrong warp to Manic Mincers with Diddy on Espresso. Having Espresso in this level is unintended, and it allows speedrunners to fly through the stage much faster than playing normally. Once they reach the last DK barrel, speedrunners ditch Espresso to grab and break the DK barrel to release DK, as both Kongs will be needed for an upcoming glitch, and then they quickly exit the level. I should note that when speedrunners reach Manic Mincers, the split up glitch becomes inactive, so now speedrunners can take damage without soft locking the game, and they will be taking damage, on purpose of course. Next is Misty Mine. At this point, we're only 2.5 minutes into the run, and already speedrunners have had to pull off so many different skips and glitches, with one of the craziest coming up next. What we're about to see is a combination of different glitches. First, speedrunners purposely get hit by the snake here to lose Diddy, and this is done to store what is known as a super jump. You can tell when you get the storage by seeing Diddy run to the right and climb the screen. To use the stored super jump, speedrunners must throw another DK barrel to release Diddy once more, only to land and take damage from another snake, making sure to hold B afterwards. And if doing so, the next time you land on an enemy, you'll get a super jump, which allows you to continue to fly up in the air as long as the B button is being held. Then, there's what is known as a jump roll. The jump roll is an infinite flying trick that is performed by starting a roll on the same frame that an enemy is bounced on. To do this, you'll need to be in a situation where you can bounce on an enemy while still on the ground, which can usually be done when an enemy is right next to a ledge, like in this situation here. The Y button will need to be pressed on the same frame that the enemy is landed on to execute the jump roll. And yes, it's frame perfect. And then immediately release the button. What's cool is that while during a jump roll, you are immune to all enemies, like the snake here. The only exception is bees. Damn bees. And then, to get out of jump roll, all you need to do is touch the ground. But what speedrunners utilize in this run is a combination of the super jump and jump roll, known as the super jump roll. This trick allows speedrunners to fly over entire levels at a much faster rate compared to just a super jump. To perform a super jump roll, speedrunners store a super jump, as just explained, but instead of landing on an enemy, they initiate a jump roll off the snake that pops out of the barrel here, making sure to continue to hold B to activate the super jump as well. And the way they set this up is to ensure they get a proper trajectory to roll through all enemies to achieve max speed in the air. Eventually, they fly up into the air, off screen and completely bypassing the level, using the checkpoint barrel as a visual cue to release the B button and start descending down so that they land right in front of the exit level. After flying their way through Misty Mine, instead of continuing forward, speedrunners go back to Manic Mincers to set up another split-up glitch. However, they use the standard method of throwing the DK barrel and then exiting the stage by pressing start and select. Speedrunners then re-enter Manic Mincers, and just like the first level, they take damage to die and fall below the death plane, putting them back on the map, though this time is easier as all they need to do is hit the mincer here over the first pit. The reason speedrunners go back to set up the split-up glitch is to skip an upcoming level, but before that, they enter Loopy Lights, a level where the lighting of the level is affected by on and off barrels. Your average player would take the time to hit these barrels so that they can see what's around them, but speedrunners have every jump, enemy, and detail memorized of each level, and so they don't need to turn on the lights. They can just roll and breeze their way through the level, glitchless I might add, which is more impressive when you remember that when the split-up glitch is active, one hit over land will soft lock the game, ending the run instantly. Next is Platform Perils, and this is the level speedrunners skip with the split-up glitch active to wrong warp. They first make their way to pick up the DK barrel, and while holding it, they head back towards the start of the level, except they are going under the platform. I thought some crazy glitch was being utilized here, but it's just a hidden moving platform underneath the visible one that they are riding. Here's a shot of Platform Perils from dkc-atlas.com, showing the hidden platform. This site shows you the full picture of each level, including objects that would be off screen, which I thought was really cool. Right before entering the bonus, speedrunners throw the DK barrel so that both Kongs enter the barrel on the same frame, which confuses the game and causes it to warp the Kongs out of the stage, thinking it was completed. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, where are the boss fights in this run? Well, here they are. After wrong warping out of Platform Perils, next up is Necky's Revenge. Nothing really too crazy happens in this fight, other than speedrunners just being amazing, but there is some RNG in this fight. This fight consists of 5 cycles. In the first cycle, Master Necky Sr. will pop his head out from the top right of the screen. And then from there, it's random. He has 4 different spots he can show up, and the timing for each hit is different depending where he shows up. If you are early, you bounce off him, and if you are late, you take damage. Ideally, he pops his head out closer to the bottom so that you're able to jump over only 2 of his shots before hitting him, versus waiting for 3 or 4 shots. And if his last spawn is a top one, you automatically have a time loss of a handful of frames, because when he dies, he has to drop a greater distance. Apparently, it's very easy to lose time in this fight. With Master Neki Sr. defeated, the top speedrunners are just over 5 minutes into their run, and there was only one last fight separating DK and Diddy from their bananas, and separating speedrunners from world record times. King K. Rool. Let me tell you something, this is not an easy fight, especially when you're doing it drunk at 1 AM. But for speedrunners, this fight is described as a glorified cutscene because of how easy the fight is for them. The key here is to hit King K. Rool the earliest you can when he throws his crown. If you are optimal, you won't even see the crown throwing animation, which speedrunners call crownless. But yeah, that's pretty much the final fight. No crazy skips or glitches, just pure talent. The timer of the speedrun ends when the big banana falls and lands on DK and Diddy, and that's how speedrunners beat DKC in just over 7 minutes. Every time I make a video like this, I'm truly blown away how speedrunners find all these crazy skips and glitches. But I have to say, the DKC any percent speedrun is a whole other level of crazy. And I truly don't know how people find this shit out. But I'm so glad they do, because it's so fun to watch and learn about. I just want to give a huge shout out to Lovebird920, currently has the world record time in the DKC any percent category as of the making of this video, for letting me use their footage and for being a huge help in providing and explaining a lot of the information in this video. If you want to check out their world record run, then I've linked their video in the description. And if you too want to try and get on the leaderboard for this category, then I'd recommend starting with dkcspeedruns.com. There's loads of information there on this and other DKC speedruns, and this site was another valuable resource in helping me make this video. But yeah, that's it for me. If you like this video and want to see more DKC content, then please like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. I want to give a special shout out to Rebecca Lyons, Layberg, Puddles Megan, Koi 13, and Nice Gamer Music.